You guys ready? Okay. Yeah, so last week it was kind of a week that we gave everyone off in the office. Coaches were away, and so during that time, Leslie reached out and just talked through some things, and ultimately, he doesn't want to retire. He's not there in his mind, but he just wanted to take a step back, and so he's gonna. The way we left it, he's going to take 2023 off, but talking to him, he has full plans to return to coaching in 2024. I'm sure we could reach out and connect with him. He's not planning to coach, anywhere. So, he's been here 6 years. We got a great relationship with Leslie, and man, he's done a great job for us, and appreciate who he is. You guys know what a fine man he is. But beyond that, I don't know. That would be up to Sean, and the staff if they wanted to connect back with him in the off season, the season, to ask questions or consult. I don't know that yet. I think what we're going to do is just take this year off and just let this year be and cross that in 2024. Yeah, so still working through what we would do. Not sure. The good thing for us is you guys know Sean's background. Sean's been a long time defensive coordinator, and so right now he'll just kind of lead that. And not saying that we would or we wouldn't. This off season, it's still very early in the off season. It's not on the offensive side of the ball. It's on the defense. We feel we got some really good minds, in that room with, Bobby Babich. We added Al Holcomb, John Butler, Eric Washington. We just added Joe Dana. So I feel like we got some really good minds in there, adding Sean in there as well. I'm sure he'll be even more hands-on at this point. Yeah, I mean, if Sean decided to take over the play calling, I've seen him do it for a long time. Great success. He's gone against some great quarterbacks in his day and offensive, gurus that you have to beat. And so, that would be great if that's the route he feels is best for us. I'm going to support that and full faith that he would do a great job if it came to that.
Brandon, with the cemetery set to be free, like regardless what happens with him, what did you guys see out of James Cook this year? See guys that might be able to take a step forward next year?
Yeah, I thought James really, as the year went on, he got more touches, more involved, and we got a feel for his game and how he would fit. Really thought he did a great job, and you saw his touches continue to increase as we gained more confidence in him, and as he gained confidence in the pro style, versus college. So, love James. Look forward to what he's going to bring in year two.
Did you feel like he's big enough to be able to hold up to the 15, 16 touches a game?
Yeah, I mean, we think again, it's touches. So whether it's passing it to him, handing it to him, we feel that he can definitely handle a higher workload. Whatever he's asked to do, he'll be prepared. Yeah, I mean, we'll always look to add. Whether it's bringing Devin back, and if we don't bring him back, then yes, we would continue to look to add, whether that's free agency, or the draft. Right now, the main guys we have would be James and Naheem under contract. Brian Dable. Yeah, I thought Dave's did a really good job. Obviously he got Coach of the Year, so it was fun to watch what him and Joe got started in New York, and so I'm sure you see his passion, you see his energy. The guy that you've gotten to know well in Buffalo, and so I'm sure those guys will continue to do very well year two up in New York. Yeah, I mean, Sal, we're always looking for looking for playmakers, and whether that's a receiver, a running back, a tight end, you're always looking for guys that are weapons with the ball, mismatches that you can get defenses into different. Hey, if you let's just say you took a tight end and a guy that makes the defense come out of nickel and play you base. So we'll look at various ways to add playmakers. I'm not going to say we have to have a receiver or we have to have a tight end, but we surely are always looking to add guys that Josh can get the ball to and they can make plays with it in their hand.
Are there specific traits or skill sets that make them playmakers?
Well, rack is one of them. Guys that can run after the catch, you love that. Those are the easiest ones. You see those turn into home runs or big chunk plays. So you're just trying to find guys. It's hard to always count on a 10, 11, 12 play drive. Yes, you want to control the ball and do that at times, but there's times in games where a 3-play drive for a touchdown, is pretty good too. Yeah, I mean, it's not just like it's a new priority. It's been a priority for us. It's just those guys are always hard to find. There's generally a premium on them, and so we'll always look, whether it's free agency or the draft, to add guys that are very good with the ball in their hand. Stacy, I would say, I don't see like the top, like these high graded guys at the very top of the draft. There's a few, but I would say there's depth at multiple positions. I think tight end, I mentioned earlier, I think there's some guys there. I think there's pass rushers, again this year. And I was telling the guys on the radio earlier, I think with the continued growth of 7-on-7 in youth leagues, high school and all that, you're seeing more DBs and more receivers every year coming out. A lot of hybrid players at DBs, guys that can play nickel, can play safety, can play corner. We drafted one in Christian Benford last year that we, when we drafted him, we felt he could play corner or safety.
How healthy was Josh at the end of the season?
Josh wasn't perfect. He takes hits, and obviously the elbow, he had the setback against the Jets. But he's a warrior. He's not going to use it as an excuse. I think as the year progressed after that injury, it was getting better and better. He was able to remove the brace that he had to wear for the first few weeks. No one's 100% though. But Josh he's doing well. I know he's played golf a few times, and he's kind of hitting the reset. But he'll be ready to roll come this offseason. You get used to it. That's Josh, and he's got one style of playing, and my number one task for him is always to protect yourself first. Yeah, can you call Governor Hochul and see if we can get those reduced? I want mine reduced too. But no, it's Josh. There's always things you fight, and whether it's the weather, the taxes, whatever. And to me, as long as you have a winning program, that will supersede some of those things. And again, if you're a player, you got to look at everything. I'm sure they all they have the financial guys as well, and so you control what you can control is probably the best answer I could give you. No, Isaiah did a great job. It did not surprise me. If you look back with us, in the preseason, Isaiah, the last 2 preseasons, made a lot of great plays for us. It's a numbers game. And so, unfortunately, you got to figure out who you can get up, who you can get active. And Isaiah not making our roster was more of a special teams thing, that 5th wide receiver. But love who he is. Enjoyed watching his success up there with Brian and Joe, and wish him nothing but the best. And I'm sure he'll continue to do well. Yeah, I think you build your board with knowing the position values as well, but it doesn't mean because it's a lower value position. People always ask about running back. Can you take? Yes, you can still take a running back in the first round. And there's guys out there. I've talked about them before. Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey. Who was the last draft I was at in Carolina. Those type guys are clearly weapons. Some of the things we're talking about. So. You do have position values, but there are guys even on lower value positions that still belong in the first round. Yeah, we got to know Josh very well through, we met him first at the Senior Bowl. Then we went and worked him out privately in Laramie, got to, spend probably 18 to 24 hours with him, and then we brought him in for a 30 visit. So we got around him 3 times. We asked a lot of people, and what we came away with is we've got a young man who's still ascending and who has the DNA. He's very smart. He's a competitive guy, and he's got that want to. He's got that give a shit factor that is like, man, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. And every offseason we've been here, Josh is his own worst critic, and that's some of the things that we knew about him, that whatever his deficiencies are, he's very self-aware. You can be open and honest with him, and he's willing to work on them. And I think if you're in the quarterback market, those are key qualities beyond the physical attributes that player possesses.
That factor you mentioned, the caring, what's the question, or just how do you figure that out?
The caring? Oh, you talk to his coaches, you talk to his teammates. This guy, I mean, of course he's going to tell me he cares, but you're talking to other people about him and the things that he does. And you watch him on the field, you go watch him live, and you see the frustration in his hand, like when he smacks his hand, he misses a throw, or him on the sideline going encouraging his offensive lineman or his other guys if it's been a couple series of 3 and outs or whatever. So it's the whole process, and everywhere we turned, this guy's a competitor. He wants it badly. He wants it more than than anyone else on the team, and guys rally around him. You could see when you looked at him at Wyoming that he hurt his arm. The game I was at Air Force, he hurts his arm, and he's got to miss, I think, the next 2 games. Well, they lost to like a 1-10 San Jose State or 1-9, and I can't remember the other team they lost. But they would have won. You could see what he meant to that team. He comes back in the bowl game and is throwing lasers to Central Michigan, and Wyoming wins. So just right there alone, you could tell what he meant to that team.
The elephant in the room is Anthony Richardson. Obviously, there's been a lot of Josh.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's if I was in the quarterback market, I would be wanting to know. I'd be wanting to talk to his coaches. I would be wanting to talk to his teammates. What is his preparation? How bad does he want it? What is he on game day? Is he building guys up? Is he taking responsibility for the mistakes he makes? Yeah, I mean, I get the question. I'm always looking at it as not just where we've invested in the draft, but free agency, like just how we've acquired players, and it starts with the 2 lines, the O line and the D line. I firmly believe that once you got your quarterback, you got to A, protect your quarterback, and B, you need to get after the opposing quarterback. And so whether it's the draft, whether it's free agency, whatever, we're always going to look there first before we even get to the playmakers that we were talking about earlier. So yeah, that will be a focus again this year. We obviously we have Dion, we have Mitch, Bates, Spencer, and some other guys, but Rogers a free agent at the left guard spot, so we'll have to make sure we have that filled. And again, we look free agency and draft, and doesn't mean we wouldn't bring Roger back either.
So it was. I'm very fortunate to have such a great staff around me. Andy has known for a long time, but also having.
Yeah, we definitely look at personality and their cognitive traits, how they processing speed, but it also, some of it is position-specific data that we come after. So it's another piece that you're adding to the puzzle beyond the personality, the leadership. Your eyes tell you what the tape says, and that's a big part of it. What did they do in the fall? What did they look like as a player? Now is the time where we're doing all that testing. We're getting to know these guys. We're interviewing them here. We're putting them on the board, and sometimes we're teaching guys things, and we're seeing what their recall is. Or we put them on the grass if we're working them out, at their school or at their pro day, and teaching them things, and then snap the ball and see how quickly they process, once the ball snapped. Because that's a big thing. You can have guys that understand pre-snap everything, but when the ball snapped, they don't process as fast, and they can be 4-4 on the field, but if they don't play 4-4 because of the processor, then that 4-4 is kind of thrown away. I think it's one of them for sure, depending on whether we can bring Poyer back. Micah definitely plans to return this year. As far as Christian's standpoint, we like his versatility. We'll just kind of see this offseason if we think he's best at corner. He showed he could play corner last year. We love his ball skills. We love, the mental part of his game. And so we want to get the best players on the field, and if we feel getting the best player on the field is moving him to safety, then we wouldn't hesitate to do that. Love the Senior Bowl. We've gotten quite a few guys from the Senior Bowl. I think it's a great game, and it's just here it's a little more speed dating. When you're interviewing these guys, it feels more laid back there, where we're able to slowly. The guys are there all week. They're not in a rush to get out of there, and you're able to visit with them multiple times. It's probably a little harder here to get them as relaxed. So, and then it's the last time you can see these guys in pads, and so I love what Jim Nagy and them have done with the Senior Bowl itself, and it's always a fun time to go down there.
We had great conversations, hearing about the sons, Ray around all the time, and I would say,
I never use this as really it's more of a, hey, how you doing? Not necessarily a networking thing of, hey, get a job. I think you watch people, whether it's scouts, whether you watch coaches in various environments, whether it's on game day or whether I'm scouting a college game with someone and you see their attention to detail and things like that. I don't know if here, I know it can be a job fair. I don't know if that was really the method that I use, but I know some people do. What's up, Joe? Good to see you, buddy.
Apparently, I think you missed a question where you were asked about Richardson comparisons to Josh.
Yeah.
Some people also have drawn Levis comparisons to him. Do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't overly studied the quarterbacks, with us having Josh, but I have heard the comparisons to both of those guys, and, I've seen them both play live. You see the physical traits, they're both very physically gifted, have not spent any time. It's such an important position from a mental component. You got to know everything pre-snap, post-snap, what everybody's doing, and so that's probably the biggest digging that, if we were in the quarterback market, that we'd be trying to do right now.
Coming into the season last year,
yeah, obviously we have a starting quarterback on a rookie contract, and other opportunities that come with that, and I'm not going to.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gabe, coming off that Kansas City game the year before, people probably had maybe some unrealistic expectations, but no one puts, higher expectations on themselves than Gabe, and there's no one that trained as hard as that guy that I'm aware of on our team last year, and he's already preparing. I've seen videos of him training, this offseason from his trainer, but Gabe he's a competitive guy. He wants it bad. Week 2, unfortunately, going into the Tennessee game on a Friday practice, he got a high ankle. And not to make excuses, but it definitely bothered him. You can just watch the film when he was coming out of his cuts. He was taking an extra step, which allowed that defender to stay attached to him as well. And he had a few drops that he definitely wants back, but got a lot of faith in Gabe. And again, he'll be back this year better than ever. This was his first year that he had a full-time starting role. I think he learned some things too, and I know he'll be even more prepared for coming up. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely challenging to have a quarterback. Once you're paying them, it's obviously enjoy the moments when they're on that rookie deal. But it's a quarterback league, and so you just work around it. You understand that's part of the economics of the game, and I'll take the problem of having Josh Allen and having to work around it versus being in quarterback purgatory, as some people like to say. So it's part of the deal. It's not easy, but you're not going to hear me complain. Well, we'll look at all of them, and again, we'll look in free agency, we'll look in drafts. We could look at guys that are available trade or guys that could be released, whatever. We'll look at all of them. It's not an end-all, be-all. If he's not a good route runner, if he doesn't do a lot of other good things, if he's not smart and can process and convert routes and things like that, just because he's a good rack player, it's going to be harder to get the ball in his hands. So we'll look at him as kind of the total picture. But, of course, you're putting a star by those guys that can do a lot of those things I just talked about and are great with it in their hand.
You don't want to push too much money forward, like
having so long, where you do such an easy transition.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think, Mark, it's, we are tight on the cap this year, and we're going to be tight next year. Looking at it from a forecasting standpoint, we got a couple of tough years coming up to do that. We will strategically, push some money forward with some restructures coming up to get under the cap. But, again, that's why I said at the end of season presser, I wouldn't expect, the Von Miller types moves. But we'll definitely restructure some guys and do what we need to do to get under the cap, and then B, give us opportunity to operate and fill some holes on both sides of the ball. Yeah, I mean, I think, knowing Joe and up there, they had to clear the cap space similar to the way we did in 2018. And so now it's about spending responsibly. I think they have some cap dollars, and I know they got some key free agents they're working on, just talking to him. But the biggest thing now is understanding how your team, how you got in that spot when he took over. What were the reasons they were in, having some cap issues, and making sure that you don't put yourself back there going forward where you got to kind of hit a reset again. So I think it's just spending responsibly, and I know Joe will do a great job with that. It's a little bit of both. It is one game. You don't want to just, I talked about this in the season. You don't want to just say, hey, we stink. We won 13 games. So we did a lot of good things. That day, they were the best team. They were the best prepared team. They came out and made the plays. So we did not do as well up front in that game. And so we have to look at that. Why is that? Was it certain players? Was it certain calls? Is there things we could have done to help players? We'll definitely look at all that, and we've already started that process. Some of it is player evaluation, and some of it is just making sure we know what each of these guys does best and putting them in the best position. Yeah, DeMar is, other than taking the world tour, I've seen him on a few basketball games and other spots. He's America's guest right now. But DeMar's doing great. I'm glad we're all able to smile about his situation. He's seen several specialists since our season has ended. That's not done. I think he's got 2 or 3 more that he's got to see in various parts of the country. Our medical, we've had 1 to 2 guys traveling with him to see these specialists because it will be a decision for DeMar, but it'll also be a decision for us. We want to make sure that we're hearing everything. Assuming he gets full clearance, I know he would want to play. I know that's his end game to continue playing. We want to make sure that we're all in sync. If assuming the doctors say at some point he's seen them all, that we're in agreement that we're okay putting you out there too. But so far, all is well with his testing, and we'll just let that continue. Yeah, I mean, if he's able to get full clearance and he feels he's ready to do it, I mean, that's another big smile of a story of not that he's just got his life back, but he would have his football career back and have an opportunity to go back out there and play. And so we'll continue to support DeMar through this whole thing. And again, I would love to give the storybook ending that he's definitely going to play, but we just don't know that yet. But if he does, we'll all be very happy for him. Awesome. Thank you.